used to go by Couture de Force.
Right.
Which I really dug that name, but is more of a quartet thing, and it left little room for interpretation, because it's like Couture de Force, and it's like, well, if Couture is 4, then why are there 5 people? Then you get into that. So I wanted to get a name where I could, experiment. I could switch some things up, man.
Sure.
I had guitar for a while. Jeff Swanson, wherever you at, man. That was my dude. I worked Jeff like a dog. I had Jeff learning everything, by ear too. He was learning R&B stuff, rap stuff, all the standards. We was going nuts, man. We would and we was just, me. I really dug that group, man. It was me, Michael Lowe, on bass, Xavier Breaker on drums, and Jeff Swanson, man. But we would rehearse. We rehearsed like, I don't know, like 3 hours a week or something like that, man. We would just be rehearsing. We didn't have no gigs. Like the first, we had no gigs for we rehearsed like 3 hours a week for like 6 months. But man, we had, it taught me about developing chemistry, developing chemistry, man. And so same thing with the whole Proof when I kind of locked in on the cats I wanted for the ensemble. We just started rehearsing, and then in 2018 we started kind of building work, and building a lot of work, I would say, real substantial work. Them cats I think have been rolling with me. Cedric, let me know, since late 2016, maybe something like that. But yeah, man, we were just rehearsing and kind of getting the music together, and then we recorded in 2018, and I plan to drop the record this year. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out, but I plan to drop the record this year.
Where do you stand on the whole? Since you're talking about learning stuff by ear, where do you stand on the whole, having music on stage thing, or whether or not you should? Because that's been a point of contention that I've always had an issue with. Because I don't do it personally in my group, but I've noticed that's become a thing now, that the music is super orchestrated, and there needs to be music on the stage in order for the music to be played correctly. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I used to feel very strongly about that. The same way you feel. In New York, it's a little different. If you're running around from gig to gig, it's kind of like, cool. I can learn your. Now, for me, I just try to make it a personal goal. If I play in your group with regularity, I just try to learn your music. That's who knows what can happen.
Right.
You going somewhere, you got the book disappears. You just doomed. It's like, nah, man.
Right.
I should have enough musical aptitude to still play that gig well and nobody notice. You know what I'm saying? So I try to learn people's books, but that's just the standard I set for myself. I try not to necessarily enforce it, but again, that's why it's so important to try to, pick people who rock with you and rock with your vision, because the band, my band just, they all know the music now. You know what I mean? For the most part, there might be 1 or 2 new ones that they don't necessarily know the book, but I know if I call a tune, I know the cats are gonna be able to play like right now. You know what I'm saying? And we ain't played the book in a little bit, so I haven't had to necessarily worry about it, because I've put people in my ensemble who are like-minded, like I am. And then if somebody hits, if somebody subbing for the band, of course I don't know. I expect them to know the book. You know what I mean? Like I can't.
Are people like that far and few between in New York in terms of just like having that attention to detail and dedication to the music? Is that like a niche thing that people have, or is it more abundant than some would allude to?
That's a twofold answer, but I would say for me, people in New York pay attention to detail, especially if it's a gig they want. People in New York sometimes can fail to maintain that standard of excellence if they feel like it's a gig that they could get whenever. I think the difference between myself and that attitude is that I maintain that standard of excellence regardless. If we play in a weekly gig at the Roxy, if we play in a week, whatever. If we play in whatever, wherever we at, if we play in a weekly gig and we don't never tour and we don't never go nowhere, I'm still gonna learn your music because I play in your band. That's my responsibility. I'm not gonna act like I could get this gig whenever, because, that's how you lose gigs. It's like, oh, well, I can get this gig whenever. Like, I'm not gonna treat it as serious. I try to play every gig like it might be my last gig, because March 12th was my last gig. I might not. Right now, it is unknown that I could ever play another gig again. I'm hopeful that I can. I hope that I can, but it's not a guarantee that it's, what I mean? It's not set in stone. But like I said, I trust a higher power. I feel like my work isn't done yet. But so March 12th, man, I've always played every gig. No, actually, that's not true. I played a gig with Corey Wallace. The Dub Tech was my last gig. Sorry about my shout out to Corey Wallace. The Dub Tech was my last gig on March 13th, because every other gig that I had was canceled that weekend. Mm-hmm. So yeah, man. But I've always I play every gig it's like it's my last gig. I want people, and that's why, and that's another way that I connect with the audience. People be like, yo, man, like I can feel your passion when you play. It's like, yeah, because this shit is dope. Like, I'm surprised I'm here. Like, every time I'm in Brooklyn, it's like, well, I'm here in Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Like, I'm from the city, man. Like, I'm just glad to be here playing music, dog. So at the end of the day, I'm happy to be doing what I love to do, and to be able to spread joy to people doing it, and including myself, man. I'm grateful. So
absolutely. Yeah, we came a long way.
Yeah.
So it seems like at one time everybody used to do an album with strings in order to like solidify their place. Have you thought about doing something like, since we were talking about Bird earlier, that was like a thing for a long time. Has a larger ensemble thing been in the works for you at all, or have you been mostly focused on smaller ensembles?
Well, I've been experimenting with strings. I'm currently mixing the record, man, and Matt Jones and I have been in and out. I haven't hollered at him since this whole thing happened, but I really wanted a string arrangement from Matt for this one song that I wrote for Trayvon Martin on my record, man. So I'm starting to explore that space, man. I don't know much about strings. I love, there's some string arrangements that bring tears to my eyes from artists that I love, and so I feel like naturally that's going to be a step. But it's been something I've been curious for the last couple of years. Like, when I say the last couple of years, I would say like the last 3 to 5 years. Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah, it's been a thing for a while. I haven't necessarily gotten into that, but it's a step that a lot of people used to take, because in order to get, I guess, some sort of legitimacy from the jazz world or whatever, you always have to include some sort of semblance of the classical world in order to get a little sanction by them. So I know I make good music, so I don't need a critic to tell me what is good. You know what I'm saying? For sure.
Right now, I feel like a lot of critics are so stuck on trying to preserve the past that they're not even looking towards the future. Like, right now, many of the artists that are making music alive in the moment have been influenced by the 80s and the 90s, aka the hip hop era. It just is what it is. It's a natural evolution. I grew up listening to hip hop. I love hip hop. That does not dilute my love for jazz. It means that it's something new happening. Like, like, we gotta embrace the times. We're so busy trying to preserve the history. Of course, the history is important. Of course it is. But we also have to have an eye towards the future. We also have to look at what's going on in the future. You know, that's why we're so out of touch with a lot of the audience. And a lot of audience, you know, people still ask me when they, you know, like if they come to a show, you know, and somebody ain't been, they'll be like, yo, man, I need to dress up. I'm like, no, am I dressed up? You know what I'm saying? Like,
people don't dress up for nothing no more. Like nothing.
Somebody asked me recently if they still smoke in the club, bro. Like we are not. You know what I'm saying? We are not. Wow. We're not connecting with the people, and I don't like that's driving me crazy, man. Not like insane, but it's like why? You know, the music is good. I don't feel like it's so good that it shouldn't be pleasant to somebody who's a casual listener. Like, why aren't we connecting with the people, man? It's something to that, man. This music is too powerful for us not to connect to people the way that we should be connecting to people. And it's a puzzle that's eluded me for 35 years. You know what I'm saying?
I think you solved it. I mean, even within the going back to the Louis Armstrong conversation that you had, when you know, Louis Armstrong basically said that, you know, the music evolved from, you know, some sort of dance music or popular music to it, you know, being mostly about musicians playing for themselves, so that the people stopped listening, especially since they couldn't dance to it. And you can kind of view with music today kind of how that shift has happened, is people aren't necessarily listening to the music, they listen to it, to how it makes them feel, and there's no balance. There needs to be more of a balance, because yeah, like the shit makes them move, but it's not making them, it's not, the music itself isn't necessarily on the same quality percentage as in stuff of old. And that's probably, I mean, that's by design, of course, but yeah. I think it also has to do with
but I mean, because we see the music is just good though. Like even when you play for yourself, if you playing, the music is still like you still rocking. You know what I'm saying? Like it's still gonna be something that people can groove to. Now maybe it's not like organ trio's not their bag, cool, but they still gonna be like, he is rocking. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So my whole thing again is like, if every time we play is good music and the people recognize it, why can't we touch more of them? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, why
you're not in control of it?
Why can't we grab them the way the music grabs us? If that makes sense. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like
they're not pushing it to us.
Person, you know, I don't know, man. It's interesting. And John brings up a great point right now. You know, and shout out to Lauren Henderson, a fantastic singer, Jay Flatt, all the musicians, man. Shout out. I saw the Marcus Baylor in here earlier. You know, I appreciate y'all, man. And Justin appreciates y'all. This is Chicago Code Conversation.
I'm just letting you talk. I can't keep cutting you off to shout out people all the time. Everybody know I appreciate it. We can't just be like, shout out to, hold on a second, shout out to you, and shout out to you, and shout out to you. Like, goddamn.
Man, it's all good, man. You gotta acknowledge people. You gotta give them the flowers. But look, John's brought up a great point, man. People listen to the words and the beat, and that's why, if you notice, the jazz market does not apply to vocalists. Vocalists be making money out here, man. Gregory Porter is filling up arenas around the world, stadiums. You know what I mean? Sure. Michael Bublé. You know what I'm saying? Michael. All right.
Michael Bublé.
Michael Bublé. He's filling up. They're filling up arenas and stadiums. They got people on budget. You know what I mean? Jazz at Lincoln Center. Yeah. You got people. You know, 100,000. Like, the rules don't apply to certain people. So again, it's like, you know, I understand not everybody could be at that level. I get it. But how do you take the instrumental music and put it back at that level? I feel like, you know, I love clubs. I love certain clubs. But even with smalls, man, even when you see me do a show, I'm always trying to engage the people. And it's not necessarily because, like, I want to, you know, I'm trying to play, like, I'm not playing anything that's not authentic to myself. I've worked really hard at that. All the music you play, you ain't hearing me play nothing that would be so far away from my musical taste. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm trying to engage the audience, man, because they're there to listen to a show, but entertainment. We're not entertaining nobody. Sometimes we just play for ourselves, and we're not even trying to entertain the people who are there to be entertained. And then we wonder why they don't want to see us play. We got to be honest out here. We got to have an honest conversation. Are you playing for the people, or are you playing for yourself? People get mad that people are talking during the show. Who give a fuck? People are there. Would you like, this room is empty. Ain't nobody in here. All right, ain't nobody in here. That don't make me want to play for nobody. If it was 10 people in here, like, hey Chris, man, pull out your horn. Probably play something. And they could talk through it. I'm just glad that they play. You know what I'm saying? What's more important? Is it important that you shushing people at a show, or is it important that they there to enjoy the experience? Even if they screaming to it, okay, cool. Stop screaming. Don't be a dickhead. But you could, hey, you screaming.
So
right
here's
now.
the devil.
Let the bartender do their job. You know what I'm saying? We gotta realize what's important. Is it important to have this quiet, attentive audience, or is it important to have people there, real people? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so I'll bring this to you. So what do you think about this dichotomy? So you know how the Green Mill gets down, and even Andy's to a certain extent has gotten into this now. This is, if people don't know how to respond to it or even know how to listen to it, it's kind of like when you're teaching kids. It's like you got to almost force them to sit down and focus on something before they can digest it. So with them shushing people and making sure they sit there and enjoy the music, because a lot of people are just coming there to like talk and drink, and they don't give a fuck about the music. And because it's not making them, it's not some shit they either recognize or shit that's making them dance, so they don't give a fuck about it. Even if it's shit that could make them dance.
I always just try to take it as a personal challenge. Sometimes audiences, you just not gonna get them. It just ain't gonna happen. It just ain't.
True.
But that don't mean that, that doesn't mean we get into this vibe of like, man, these audiences don't know how to listen. It's our job to get them to listen. Because most people, dog, at the end of the day on earth, none of us know what we're doing. Everybody knew what they was doing in February. You know what I'm saying? Everybody thought they knew what we were doing. You know what I'm saying? But like when you're growing up, man, you realize you have a passion for something, you naturally draw to it. It's usually the goal, right? I've realized I've been good at other things, but I have a passion for music. So that's what I've drawn to. So now we're here. You know what I'm saying? But like, all I'm saying is that people sometimes, like, people grow up and music's not cool. The issue is like, we don't teach children when they're scared that it's okay to be scared and to be vulnerable and say I'm scared and you'll be cool the next day. The kids laugh at them. You know what I'm saying? We gotta teach compassion amongst younger people earlier. And that's how you get people to be attentive, so then when you say to a kid, hey, this is what an attentive audience does, and you bring in music every week, this is what an attentive audience does, this is what an attentive audience does, this is what an attentive audience does. Every single week they got music coming in, and we got to teach them that kind of stuff. And sometimes as adults, you got to teach people that kind of stuff. Unfortunately,
It's a couple of comments that they made in there.
Junius is saying exactly what essentially trying to say is that I feel like it's our job to do it. Of course, it's the audience's job to understand, but that's not our job. But our job is
partially. Well, I only say that because especially the art of the set list is damn near dead. It's very few people, and this is something I learned personally from Dr. Lonnie Smith. And it speaks to your point, and it's our responsibility to. He was at the Chicago Jazz Fest maybe about 3-4 years ago, and he got a standing ovation for about 5 minutes on a ballad. He played "Frame for the Blues," and got a standing ovation for about 5 minutes. On the second song in the set, he didn't even get that type of round of applause on like one of his more upbeat numbers at the end of the show. And that kind of shows you the power of being able to control a set and what you can do with the song.
Yeah.
But again, those people were there specifically to listen. But if you're playing in a capacity like a bar or a club, 9 times out of 10, people are there to, you know, be entertained, but not necessarily retain.
They heard it was some good music. You know, they came to have a good time. But you know,
they came to have a good time.
All I'm trying to say, I guess, is that I don't feel like it's necessarily the responsibility of us to, at that point, to shush. I don't know, man. It's like at some point you gotta just let granddad be granddad, right? Like you know, like we at the club now. Granddad farted. Okay, well it's granddad. Who gonna take? You know what I mean? He always fart. You know, or whatever. You know, whatever weird thing that family people do. You know, like yeah, it sucks. They're talking at the club. That sucks. But it's not our like you know the people around us. You know, you gotta let that's what people that work at the club is for. That you know, I mean, like I said, it's you know, I don't know, man. It's interesting. You know, I do. Don't get me wrong. I love listening rooms. Like I love Smalls because it's a listening room. It's you know
for sure.
Mesro is a super listening room in New York. You know, but I also love spots like Jenny's where people can talk, and it's up to you to get them. Like
so, what do you do when you have a talkative audience? Do you address it specifically, or do you go and just do your set and be like, well, if we get them, we get them?
I
know what I do.
Huh?
But go ahead. I know what I do, but go ahead. I don't know what you do.
With an audience, if it was like a talking audience or whatever, you know, I usually try to get them with like a little, you know, like, hey, how you doing? Can everybody hear me? That's the first one. Like, everybody hear me all right? You know, that kind of thing.
Little slick move.
Yeah, you know, but usually like with my shows, you know, that's why I got like the all day chant. You know what I'm saying? People kind of gravitate if a bunch of people are saying something at the same time. It's naturally, it's like, oh, you know what I mean? Like it catches your attention, you know. But you know, and I try to draw them in with my, I guess my personality, you know, try to draw them in that way. Again, letting the music speak, trying to use dynamics, you know. And then if none of it's working, I guess I just kind of channel into myself. It's like, all right, well, we're just rocking. You know, the people who gonna listen, because somebody's always listening. Even if they're not listening,
that's the truth.
Even if they're not listening, somebody's always listening. You know? Mm-hmm. So I mean, but it's been very few moments where I felt like at that point, like whatever, we just rocking. It's very few moments in between. And at the end of the day, man, I'm just glad that, you know, people are there checking out the music, you know?
Yeah.
Because if it's real bad, they'll leave.
Well, usually, I mean, that in terms of control, like that's one of the things I learned from Dr. Lonnie is I'll throw a ballad on your ass in a second.
Yeah.
And usually this is something I learned from Patrice O'Neal, actually, in terms of controlling the crowd. You gotta get the crowd to, in order to win, like if they got a heckler or something like that, like I treat people who are super loud at the club like a heckler, like a comedian would treat a heckler. And the trick to turning that around is you gotta get the people who are disrupting on your side so that the audience will turn on the heckler or the people that are disrupting in order for you to turn the room around. So I'll see Patrice O'Neal, you know, talks directly to the heckler, and he'll be like, see, the audience don't even like you. Like, they don't even want you here. And then all of a sudden, the audience will turn on the heckler and try and get them to be quiet so they can enjoy the show. Like, you know, and it becomes that. So what happens in the capacity of music is what I'll do is I'll usually do a ballad, you know, and that brings it down. And I'll play it extremely soft. And then people will start looking around. The people that are really listening, somebody in there is going to be like, shh, you know, or somebody's going to do something to where it gets the rest of them to pay attention. That's usually one of the little secrets to do in order to control the room if you don't know how to. Another one is to play a loud number and then do a ballad, because you get their attention with the big number and then they're listening then, and then you bring it down to a ballad or like a nice groove that you got that is going to get the people doing the head bob. Yeah. And that's another way to do that. Yeah. And it takes a long time to know how to structure a set where you won't lose the people, because most people just play sets and they don't. That's what I was talking about, the art of the set list. They'll play sets and they won't take into the account that there's no roller coaster that you're taking the people on where they want to pay attention. Right. So then you get people to just play, and then all of a sudden people start tuning it out because you done played 3 high energy joints back to back, and it's like, we partying now, but you ain't gave them no. It's like training a dog where you gotta, like, when you hype them up, you got to bring their energy back down, or it's going to be on 10 the whole time.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I definitely know that there is the truth is somewhere in the middle, but I do think it's important to at least have the conversations. We got to have the conversations as a community. These moments are important to just be able, to kind of be like, hey, all right, this has been the formula. Some things of this are good, some things of this are bad. How can we make it better? Like, for me, I'm just about betterment. If it's like, hey, you come in the club and nobody talks and people love that idea, great. You know what I'm saying? 20 years ago, if you would have told me that people gonna put on headphones and go to a party and people gonna love it, I'd have been like, you out your goddamn mind. That is ridiculous. You gonna go dance at a club to some headphones? That sounds crazy. But here we are. People love it. So who am I? So my thing is, like, at the end of the day, I don't mind being wrong. I just want the win. That's all I want, is the win. That's all I care about. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We got 2 minutes left, so we're gonna have to restart over. But it's all about the win, man. I feel like a lot of us, we're so worried about winning as long as we winning. It's never about really the win of the community. This thing is bigger than us. It's bigger than music. Like this whole thing puts it in perspective, man. It's life, man. We got life is bigger than our little bubble, man. Our little box. Like, it's hilarious that we're all confined to this box and we complain about how much, how boring it is, how stressful it is. But we do that in our lives all the time.
Well, we have nowhere near this much confinement. Yeah.
We confine ourselves. Mm-hmm. I refuse to believe that jazz is 2% of the market. I refuse to believe it in my mind, because it makes no sense, because I see how the music heal people. I see people go from gangbangers to motherfucking drummers, dog.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, that it's not that, because you look at the jazz festivals in the summer, so people are open to it, and then my thing is, like, especially during that stuff, it's like, where are y'all during the whole year?
We gonna have a conversation. But check this out. I mean, on some real shit, Detroit Jazz Fest lineup was kicking our ass for years and years and years. And
it's still kicking our ass.
And we wonder where the people are, man. We got to get the good music, man. That's all we got to do. If we keep putting out the good music and we keep beating them over the head, we gonna come back to it, though. We got to end this. We got 15 seconds. So I'm going to try to go. I think I can go till midnight. I got you till, 11 years.
I got you. We can go as long as you want. We ain't got to make it super long like Junior said. But come on back, y'all. We got more for you.